Howdy y'all, and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. Wow, I cannot believe it's been another year since we last filmed, and I'm just so sluggish right now. Let me even see if that worked.
Yeah, I think we covered all the ones we know.
Howdy y'all, and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. I am here with my worship pastor, or the music guy, David.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you. Awesome. And I wanted you here today because I just loved last year at Christmas time when you were introducing Christmas carols to our worship series, our worship time at church, and you would bring so much history to that. So I wanted you to bring that here to Cup of Cheer. I also wanted to ask you, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, so putting him on the spot here. Where did you start hearing about all this history of carols especially? Because I know you studied music, but I'm really surprised by some of the history that you brought out, some of the extra choruses that I had never heard before, or stanzas, as some may know them to be called. And I'm a Christmas history buff, at least I call myself that. So it's amazing to me. Where did you really hear this? Was this a passion on your heart, or just one of the days of study weeks or months at college?
Well, Wikipedia. No, I'm totally kidding. So the first time I had the realization that these aren't just a bunch of songs that people wrote without any context was my dad got me for Christmas this book called Then Sings My Soul. And there's actually 2, maybe 3 of them now. And Then Sings My Soul takes all these different hymns and gives you a 1-page synopsis of what the story was behind this hymn. And a lot of them are extremely interesting. I just thought, oh, people just write songs, they throw them out there, it's done. But there's hundreds of songs that have a really meaningful, immense story behind them. And so that was what sparked my interest. And since then, kind of like any pursuit, any hobby, people just keep after it. And that's what I've done. I've just kept after it over the years. I look out for books that talk about this stuff. I search the internet. Now that I'm leading worship consistently at our church, I've made it a goal to understand all of the songs that we do in church. Mm-hmm. And that's not just the history. I like to also understand, where do I find all these concepts we're singing about in the Bible? And part of that is history. So I look at the background of the songs usually and try to find, how was this written? Who was it written for? What language is it written in? How old is this? If there's anything in it with a different language. So for instance, Angels We Have Heard on High, the refrain, we still sing it in Latin. It's Gloria in Excelsis Deo. And we all know that. We know that tune very well.
And we run out of breath when we do it.
We do. Everyone does. But that song is a song that we sing but don't know what it means. And so I always try to find what it means. And that song means Glory to God in the highest, in Latin.
Wow.
And this is no different, this Hark The Hearold song that I'll be doing soon. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about how I figure all this stuff out. And I'm always searching for other verses too, because as you know very well, there are a lot of obscure verses that get lost in history. And if we don't look for them, we won't find them. And sometimes even the verse was left out because it's not written in modern English and it's hard to understand. But with a few tweaks, you can do it again. And the church can benefit from those verses once more. And so I kind of like to find those and resurrect them, so to speak. So
yeah. I was amazed by that last year because honestly, I got out my phone and I took a note as to which song we were singing. And I'm like, look for extra verses. And I'm like, where did he find this? Because I can't find this online anywhere. But I mean, I do believe they were there. They were so poignant and they were so connected to the song that I can't imagine how they weren't a part of it, except one, I do admit on one of them I was like, so did he write these extra lyrics?
I have done that, but I don't think I did that last year during Advent. So.
Wasn't it Chris Tomlin who did that with a couple carols?
I think he's done some. Yeah, a lot of people have done some really good versions of stuff, and that's one of the beauty of hymns, is often they're not owned by someone's copyright, they're a public domain song, and so you can do that and they can still benefit the church in awesome ways. So, yeah.
Okay, so this part isn't part of the Hark The Herold thing, but since you're here and I can pick your brain and the camera's rolling, knowing that you're so into the history of Christmas songs, I recently in my Advent study, Bible study with one of my friends, the question got brought up about the song in which, there's two Christmas carols in particular, right now I can't think of them off the top of my head, but where it says that he lays silently, that he doesn't make a cry. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about those songs? Since I know that you really, Away in a Manger, yes, no crying he makes. And of course Silent Night is also kind of one in the way, if you think about it, a lot of people also use that to tie in, oh, he never made a sound. And we almost as a church bring that to a level of we believe it's in the Bible. It's amazing. I've never found it in the Bible yet that he never cried. But how do you feel about those portions of those songs as a worship leader when you really want to make sure that it's tied in with Scripture? Is that a problem for you? Is that, I don't know, how do you feel about those when you read those? Or the little drummer boy, for that matter, who wasn't anywhere in the Bible.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So I know this is totally putting you on the spot,
no worries.
But...
So you're right to observe those things. There's definitely something to be said for not just singing songs without thinking about what it is we're singing. Mm-hmm. Case in point, I mean, how many of us have sung Gloria in Excelsis Deo for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? Mm-hmm. And all that time never knew what in the world was coming out of our mouths, you know? So yeah, it's good to know what we're singing. So, you know, while I wouldn't throw a song out for something that small, I usually am more looking for things that are theologically really bad, or, you know, mm-hmm. A lot of the young children at our church that we go to just sang Away in a Manger for the little children's program yesterday. You saw that.
So cute.
And it was great, and it was glorifying to the Lord. And so that lyric didn't really bother me too much. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the Bible about that. The Bible actually seems to say the opposite, that Jesus was 100% God, but he was also 100% man, mm-hmm. which means as a baby he would cry, and it means, you know, later when he was older, if he skinned his knee, he might cry. It doesn't say those things explicitly, but if you're going to err on one side, the Bible seems to say that we should err on the side of his humanity, if you want to call it that. We can't separate his humanity from his divinity. Mm-hmm. They're wed in a way we can't fully understand. But yeah, so that's a good observation of yours. I think he did cry at the same time. I think that song's just a little bit of maybe poetic license. So, and I also kind of go into that a little bit, choosing songs. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Case in point, we just did "O Little Town of Bethlehem" in church, mm-hmm. And I actually wrote a couple new verses for that we sang yesterday. That said, though, I was talking to our senior pastor today, and he had actually never sung that in worship, even though I have, because I grew up in church, mm-hmm. and he didn't, and I just thoughtlessly did the song, and then later realized from a conversation with him that the song is a great song, but we're kind of, it's like, we're not singing to God, we're almost like singing to Bethlehem. Not that anyone thinks they're actually like worshiping Bethlehem, so to speak, but like Bethlehem's the object of the song. So does that mean we can't do it in worship? No. Yeah, I tend to think about those sorts of things, even though that one I missed, because, you know, I'm not perfect. I tend to try to think about those things. So, like, Away in a Manger, are we going to sing this in worship? Maybe, maybe not. But something like Hark the Herold, it's sung either to God or about God or both, depending on what part of the song you're singing. and it's lifting him up, and it's glorifying him, and it's rich. There's many rich theological lyrics, but I don't want to spill the beans too soon. But yeah, so kind of a long explanation, but
No, I mean, I'm with you there a little bit too. I mean, as a songwriter, a lot of times, I'm a story-driven person. I love lyrics are kind of my love, although I admit a lot of things I'm realizing this year I've sung and didn't, in carols that were just so beautiful, I didn't think too much of it. It just really impacted me musically before lyrically, which is weird, because almost every other song I'm a lyric person. But as a writer and a person who loves lyric and story-driven songs, to me, well, I don't have a problem with, my brain is spazzing on the names of the songs that we just mentioned, but
Away in a Manger.
Away in a Manger is because to me it paints, I believe it was more of a visual of a holy moment, more than his humanity, but more his holiness. And putting themselves there in a holiness of it, even though maybe that wasn't exactly how it looked, because it was messy and it was real. And
yeah.
I don't think anyone wants the real picture of how messy and real it probably was. We want those beautiful nativity scenes that are the perfect, like, everything's holy and silent and peaceful, because it is a holy thing to us, and that's what we hold dear. And if we sang about how real and messy it was, I don't think any of us would really be singing those carols. And that's why I think A Little Town of Bethlehem, to someone who grew up in the church, it seems poignant because we're painting the whole picture of the story.
Yes.
Because it's, O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie, above thy deep and dreamless sleeps the silent stars go by. And we're just painting that picture of where we're seeing, in our mind's eye, the nativity scene happen, the birth scene happen. And I do see the point of saying, you know, wow, it sounds like you're singing to Bethlehem and praising Bethlehem. I never thought of it that way. But I think it's because of where we come from, because we've grown up with it. But yeah, I love talking about music and about the history of it, and learning new lyrics the way that you're presenting them on Sunday mornings. And I'm so glad that you're here with me to share this and talk about this with me, for myself and for my viewers. And thank you for being here.
Yeah,
thank you for
no
sharing
problem.
this, and even being open to talk about things we didn't talk about before.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
So thank you, and Merry Christmas from me and mine, and David here, to you and yours. I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a cup of good cheer. Bye, y'all.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Glad tidings we bring to you and your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Mwah!
Merry Christmas, sweet message.
How do you say Merry Christmas?
祝朋友生，
All right.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah, I think